ICE agents have not killed just one American, but two. Now you've seen Renee Nicole Good. I've done a video, a legal analysis on her death. But most people in America, I doubt, have heard about the death of Keith Porter Jr. He was an African-American man, a black man that was killed by ICE, an off-duty ICE agent. I didn't know anything about his story until someone asked me, had I done a story, had I created a video about Mr. Porter? And I said, no, I hadn't heard about his death. I mean, by that time, the death of Renee Good was running 24/7. And here I had heard nothing, absolutely nothing about Keith Porter Jr. So the reactions to their deaths have been very, very, very different. And that's what I want to get into in this video. I want to talk about how the national media has handled these two different deaths. Two different people, both shot by ICE agents. All right? So here we go. Keith Porter Jr. and Renee Nicole Good. Two people killed within 7 days of each other by ICE agents. All right? So ICE agents shot and killed two Americans within 7 days, one a white female and the other a black male. The value appropriated to each of their lives couldn't be more different. National media elevated one death, that of Miss Good, and minimized the other. As we look at the incidents and we just consider how they've been handled, it also shows the great need for more black media, more black independent media, more black owned media. The Griot, The Root, Roland Martin's Black Star Network, the bigger black-owned media, it's not enough. We need more. And we need to support black-owned independent media because they just don't tell our stories. The people who are making the decisions simply don't tell our stories because we should have known about this. How could this happen? Over 10 days ago, Mr. Keith Porter Jr.'s death, how could that happen and we not know about it? Why didn't it absolutely flood the media? And I'd be searching, I'd be looking for those kinds of stories to tell. And yet, I had heard nothing about it. Not anything, just crickets. Now, as I look at this, some people are going to say, stop making this a race issue. My response is, anyone who says that foolishness is dishonest and is just a fool. Why? Because white America has, from America's inception, made everything in America about race. So I'm not making it about race. Race is already in the fabric of the country. How can you conclude anything else? We're talking about a country that enslaved black people for 250 years and genocide other non-white people to take the land and Jim Crow and all the works. So these people running around saying America's not racist, there's so much evidence of America's systemic racism. Anyone who says that should be soundly and roundly condemned because they're being dishonest, they're being foolish. All right, so let's get into a little bit of the specifics. Both of these deaths are tragic. Truth of the matter is, neither one of their lives is more valuable than the other. They both were created in God's image. But that is not the way things operate here in America. On December 31, 2025, an off-duty ICE agent shot and killed Keith Porter Jr. in Northridge, Los Angeles, or Northridge, California. I'm not from out I'm not from that state, don't know much about it, but apparently Northridge, I believe, is in LA County, but it's not LA. It's one of the surrounding areas, if you will. That was December 31st. On January 7th, 2026, an ICE agent shot and killed Renee Nicole Good in Minneapolis during a federal operation. All right, we've seen video after video after video after video about her death. Apparently there is no video regarding Mr. Porter's death, although some could come out. As I've said, even in the legal analysis of Ms. Good's video, that more evidence is coming out, right? The investigation, oftentimes these investigations just take time, and more evidence tends to leak out. So I'm sure I have just scratched the surface trying to get to know the facts regarding Mr. Porter's death. And like I said, the media treated both of them very, very different. National outlets immediately humanized Miss Good, as they should have. Reporters identified her as a 37-year-old mother, poet, and wife. See, they're talking up her humanity. Again, trying to humanize her. Journalists centered her spouse's voice in every coverage. Media framed her as compassionate, creative, and community-minded. So they were painting a very wholesome, very good picture of her. All right? And the ICE agent shot Miss Good while she was sitting in her vehicle. We all saw that. Multiple videos captured the incident and spread rapidly online. And in fact, a video was released by the government that affirms what I said in my in-depth legal analysis, that she was turning away from him. She was not trying to attack him. She was not trying to run him over. She was not acting like a domestic terrorist, as the government said. She even said in the video even captured her saying, "I'm not mad at you," she said to the shooter. Whereas when he shot her, you could hear somebody saying, I don't know if it was him or someone else, who said, "F and B." So the narrative is quite a bit different than what the government has said about both the shooter and Miss Good. All right? National outlets replayed the footage and elevated public outrage. And there have been protests after protests after protests after protests. Federal officials claimed Good used her vehicle as a weapon. I don't see that, even with the video from his cell phone, the shooter's cell phone. Minneapolis officials publicly rejected that narrative. The dispute fueled sustained national coverage and protests. All right, so we've heard and seen so much about Mrs. Good's death. Now, let's contrast that with how media introduced Mr. Porter's death. Local outlets identified Keith Porter Jr. as a 43-year-old father of two. His family described him as caring, peaceful, and community-oriented. But the first article that I read about him said that he was an active shooter. Very different way than how the media reported Mr. Good.
Shooter. The man was shooting in the air celebrating the New Year.
Mr. Porter grew up in Compton.
The shooter?
His nickname was Pooter. I want to share a little bit about him on a personal level, since the media is not getting this information out. He loved fishing. He loved to fish. Here we have him having caught what looks like a red snapper, I think it is. Okay, he loved to fish. He was a huge 49er fan. Huge San Francisco 49er fan. He was also a proud girl dad with two daughters, one aged 10 and the other one 20. So he was a proud girl dad. He leaves two grieving daughters behind. All right? Now, his personal story was largely overlooked by the national media. His humanity, appeared only late, all right, and that was because the family was pushing the personal, humanized side of Mr. Porter, rather than this active shooter, right? This boogeyman, the scary black man who deserved to be killed, whereas Miss Good was unjustly killed. All right? And that's the very reason why we needed an organization like Black Lives Matter, and still need someone affirming that black lives matter. All right? All right, so this active shooter label that they attached to him, they repeated that in early reporting. And what the family says is that Mr. Porter was actually shooting in the air in celebration of the New Year. And that is completely believable.
Correct.
Because I know here in the DFW area, there is a lot of shooting in the air around the 4th of July, as well as when the New Year come in. I can tell. You can tell the difference between fireworks and gunshots.
That's right. People do it all the time.
That definitely
But I don't do it because I don't want no smoke.
He was not shooting at anyone. He was not trying to harm anyone, not trying to kill anyone, but shooting in the air. All right? So basically the media moved on just based on this thing of being an active shooter. Like his life didn't matter because he was labeled an active shooter pretty early in the thing. Whereas Miss Good was framed as an innocent victim. Okay? Whereas Mr. Porter was framed as a threat. All right? And Mrs. Good had the benefit of, again, the national media picking up her story and pushing it. And that wasn't happening and has not happened by chance. That happens because there are people, whites principally, in these media news rooms and the editors and so on, who are telling the folks in front of the camera what to say. Oftentimes writing what they should say. So they push these narratives. It's good for business. It's good for the algorithms. All right? So the national media pretty much amplified the good regarding Miss Good's death. And as a result, people did what? They hit the streets. They protest. And it has become a national outrage. Meanwhile, crickets for Mr. Porter.